Yes, I think I meant to look at this a little bit. I did, but it's fine. Hello, everyone. I've got two things I want to do today. Ooh, that was not one of them. So my friend Eric Sonia that I technically did a podcast with question mark because it's been a minute. She sent me a spread. I think it was for the full moon in Sagittarius. I don't know, but I'm gonna use it. And also a new magic set came out not too long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and it's Battle for Baldur's Gate. And I got a whole pack of cards, and I'm gonna open one and do. Hey, Holly, how you doing? I'm gonna open one and do that thing I did last time, where we see if anything means anything. Ooh. This is interesting. I'm using the Pride Tarot because it's June, which is Pride Month. Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck, but the Ten of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, and the World all came out. This Ten of Wands is interesting because it's someone who essentially curses their fate and goes to ask God or the gods why they were born, why were they created. And, because life has been so hard for them. I will read it. I'll read it for you. I don't think I've actually read this book because I wasn't able to. I have it on my phone. Let's see. Ten of Wands right here. This Ten of Wands card shows a man who has lived a life of banishment and pain. People scorned him for being blessed with a balance of male, female, young, and old qualities. Dreaming, hoping, and searching, he journeyed to the highest mountains, to the realm of the gods, to ask them why he had to suffer. The gods placed a crown made of 10 wands upon his head. They kissed his mind with truth, and he saw that the gods always choose strong and beautiful souls to suffer, for those are the people with the power to withstand it. Through his ordeal, the man gained wisdom. He realized that he needed to live through his suffering in order to help others with theirs. The man turned his burdens into blessings. Now he looks back as he faces forward, feeling the miracles of his life. The divine meaning is take your greatest burdens and turn them into your greatest blessings. And then we have the Wheel of Fortune right under that. And then we have this World card. But what's interesting is the Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck makes it seem or feel like it's about facing something. So it's almost like there's this recognition there's this an impartation of wisdom from the divine that what we're going through in some way, shape, form, regard, fashion, or aspect has a greater purpose. And with that knowledge, there's something that we can face, something that has the potential to completely change our lives. Ew, that just went in my nose. And not only change our lives, but it has it can impact the world around us as well. Interesting. Okay. But anyway, busy day. Just got home from lunch with a friend. Excuse me. I hope you enjoyed it. My day was a little busier than I wanted it to be. I was like, I'm going to go in early. I'm going to come home early. It's so warm. And then I forgot that there was something I had to do, so I had to stay an extra half hour. But that's fine. I today though, I just love the people who I'm attracting. I don't want to say who I'm attracting. I love the people who are coming into my experience. Really amazing people that have such a strength that I wish they didn't have to have. Um, but it's one that's still admirable in many ways. Hey Zelda, how are you doing? The Eight of Wands card came out. Okay. So excuse me. I'm yawning like crazy. So I'm gonna open a pack of cards. I'm gonna see if it says anything. We'll see. If there's one thing that Patrick is good at, it's spinning a story or a tale. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm glad that you're safe and that you're out. Sorry to hear that you have to go in. I mean, I guess if you're safe now, then hopefully whatever you had to go in for, you're better. So let me see if I can find this spread. Oh, it's the day after the full moon spread. Mystic Witch of the Moon on Instagram posted it. She shared it with me. I'm going to read it with you. Oh, oh. Okay, that's not going to work. There you go. This is it. Shout out to Mystic Witch of the Moon. I did not create the spread, but I will be using it. Check them out on Instagram, I guess, if you like it. Current emotion / state, what was illuminated in the full moon, active self-care for today this week, what we're being called to release, and steps to begin. Step to take to begin to step to take to begin to release. Oh my gosh, can I speak? I'm gonna ask Bixby. Hi Bixby. Roll a d4.
All right. You rolled a 3.
I thought it was gonna be a 2. So I'm gonna pull the first pack. These are the packs, by the way. It's another one of these. Battle for Baldur's Gate. This one is D&D inspired. I think Wizards of the Coast. Is it Wizards of West Coast or Wizards of the Coast? Just acquired Dungeons and Dragons not too long ago. Or they just got D&D Beyond. I don't know. Okay, I have no clue. But we'll see. I got the pack here. I'm actually going to shuffle them up this time instead of just reading off the top. Because why not? Excuse me. I've been going to bed early, so it's my bedtime. 3 is pretty good, but it's not as good as 2. I'm kidding. Oh, the first card is a foil. I actually got this card in the last pack I opened. So it's Abdel Adrian, Gorion's Ward. It's a legendary creature. It's a plains creature or light. You see the symbol? There we go. Boom. And it's one of those cards where the background is holographic. It says, when Abdel Adrian Gorion's Ward enters the battlefield, exile any number of other non-land permanents you control until he leaves the battlefield. Create a 1 toughness, 1 power white soldier token for each permanent exiled this way. And then in this set, every commander, it's a commander set. Don't ask. I barely know. You can choose a background. So we'll see if they give us a background for this in the pack. The next card is another legendary creature, Jan Jansen, Chaos Crafter, a gnome artificer. has haste, and then if you tap it, you can sacrifice an artifact creature and create 2 treasure tokens, or you can sacrifice a non-creature artifact to create 2 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. All the side tables in your home have 3 legs. They're all stools. I'm just kidding. So right off the bat, we have 2 legendary creatures. Of who you? Yeah. Oh my gosh! If I could speak, that would be gorgeous. I'm actually gonna put this in a sleeve. I have sleeves now for the foils and for other cards when I get to them, but for right now, they're for the foils. The human warrior versus the gnome artificer. This is interesting because it feels like it makes me think of Dr. Stone and how in it's like up until a certain point in history, brawn and physical strength and stamina and hardiness and toughness was like the primary single most sort of key feature for survival when everything was rough. But then at some point there's the birth of ingenuity, and then a shift into invention, a shift into tools, a shift into technique, where the mind becomes just as important, right? Where brain starts to have a place rather than purely just brawn. And it feels like we're kind of sort of at that intersection with these two. What's interesting is, though, that they both create tokens, and they both require sacrifice. One of them requires sacrifice to create tokens, the other requires exile. This one is also fire, plains, and swamp. So fire, light, and dark, rather than just like light. Sure, let's see. Let's see where we going. The next card is Island. It's water. So this doesn't help either one of these. This is an element. This is the water. Neither one of these are water aspected. So that's interesting. And it says, as you sail past the imposing Seatower of Balduran, you realize that breaking your friend out of that prison will be much harder than you thought. So now we know what they're creating armies for, or what they're creating token soldiers for, to break a friend out of some Seatower prison. But with this being an element of water, I would assume it's not something that can necessarily be brute forced. And then the art card is this person. Who are you? Nira, the wild mage. We'll say that she is a warden of this prison. Because why not? Or maybe she's a friend. I'll ask Bixby to flip a coin. If it's heads, she's the friend. Hi, Bixby. Flip a coin.
All right. It came up tails.
It's tails, so she's the warden. She's not the friend. Gotcha. I love that Bixby makes sound effects. When I ask Bixby to flip coins and roll dice, there's a sound. If I do this, hey Siri, flip a coin.
It's heads.
See? Oh, well, Siri said it's a friend. Interesting. Siri says it's a friend. Bixby says it's a warden. Can a friend be a warden? I guess if the wardens are prisoners themselves, then yeah. We'll see. The next card is it's a water. One water for the island. It is a creature, Grey Harbor Merfolk. Grey Harbor Merfolk can't be blocked. Grey Harbor Merfolk gets +2 power as long as you control a commander that's a creature or planeswalker. Harbor masters tend to forget that security shouldn't stop at the surface. Oh. This is interesting. This makes me think of the one time I used Yu-Gi-Oh cards and there was a bunch of like manual ejection. It was a bunch of energy of like removing things from the playing field. Because here's this seemingly impenetrable prison. But here's exactly, and it's a rogue. It's a rogue, a merfolk rogue. Here's exactly the creature that can get in. And it says they forget, what does it say? Harbor masters tend to forget that security shouldn't stop at the surface. And it makes me think, and once upon a time, mermaids have the ability to cross realms and dimensions through the water or something like that. Now, if she got some lightning spells, it might not matter because water conducts electricity really well. But this is an energy that can get through the defenses of that um the prison, the tower. But it itself doesn't have any power. It has 0 attack power and 3 toughness. Basically 3 defense, 0 attack. It gets to attack if you control a commander that's a creature or planeswalker. I don't know the rules of commander. I would assume all commanders have to either be a creature or a planeswalker, because what else is there to command? Unless there's a point in time where, like, and I assume you start with the commander. So it needs direction. It can infiltrate and it has a fair amount of toughness, but it needs direction in order to attack. Oh, snap. Well, here's our first background. That must be the theme of this pack. I opened one pack that was like a bunch of dragons and dragon spells. Our first background. This one doesn't say choose a background. The gnome artificer doesn't get to choose its background, but the human warrior does. See, choose a background. The background is criminal past, which fits the seawater tower. Commander creatures you own have menace, and this creature gets +X+0, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. A creature with menace can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. And then it says you've never cared much for laws or authority, especially when they got in your way. Why does that make me think of a show that folks are watching right now? It's still relatively new, so I don't want to say in particular what it is. But there's a character in the show that's like every time I killed somebody, I got stronger. It's like I've never forgotten a single life that I've taken. But every time I've taken a life, I've gotten stronger. Because basically, for every creature card in your graveyard, he gets stronger. But it's only an attack. It doesn't give him any defense. It's a plus X plus 0. We got this criminal past background. I guess you're going with this human warrior. Oof. If that's not Dante's Inferno. Oh my gosh, we got a second land card. And it's funny that it's named Seagate because Watergate is from the same show. Oh, well, that's like an episode before. Sorry. This is the next land. So all of the land is water, which is interesting. Seagate enters the battlefield tapped. As Seagate enters the battlefield, choose a color other than blue. Add blue or 1 mana of the chosen color. An efficient route from a smuggler's ship to a partier's manor. Hi, Bixby. Define PAR. I spelled it wrong. Sorry.
I didn't understand that.
Is it patriarch? Like a patriarch? Not a patriarch. Like a patrician or something. Some wealthy person. Some noble person. Hi, Bixby. Define PATRIAR.
Here's what I found on the internet.
Nothing. Bixby found nothing. All right, Siri, let's see. Hey, Siri. Define PATRIAR.
Okay. I found this on the web for Define Patriar. Check it out.
I chose a new voice for Siri, and it's too much. Neither one of them is giving me a definition, but that's fine. I wonder if this. I'm sure that's not a typo. Seagate can get you a land of any color, basically. It can give you blue or any other color, but it's a smuggler's route. Oh, we have a background. We have a criminal background and the Seagate. So let's say our person was a smuggler and they smuggled? Is that? I mean, I guess that's the word, right? They smuggled. Oh, it's the nobility of Baldur's Gate. Okay, that makes sense. It's actually based on, I think there's a Dungeons and Dragons expansion. Baldur's Gate, it's a whole thing. And then this series, this set of cards is based on that. So it is the nobility. Smuggled for smuggled for noble people. Exile any number of permanents you control and create a 1/1 white soldier token for each permanent exiled that way. Oh, the Sea Hag. This is my second one. I like her. So now we have another blue creature. I love that all the creatures are blue. And then we got this. Neither one of our legendary creatures, neither the gnome artificer or the human warrior has any blue. But the thing I was going to mention that's interesting is since Abdel says choose a background, Abdel is like a white natured creature with a black background, which is again very sort of like Dante's Inferno. I've only played the video game. I didn't read the books. But basically, Dante dies and goes to hell, and then he gets there and he's like shook because he's like, the Hierophant told me that if I went out there and like murdered people, that I would go to heaven. And then Virgil question mark or whoever was like, did you really think that that would get you into heaven? Like for real? Like really? Like you know what you did, right? Okay. White creature, black background. And it was somewhere else too. I think it was just that. Oh yeah, for every one you slay, you get stronger or whatever. The more you kill, the higher your. It's. Let's just stop there. Ooh, the next one is another shiny. Oh, we got a blue legendary creature. Is this our friend? Hi Bixby, flip a coin. Flip a coin.
All right. It came up tails.
It's tails again. I'm gonna say this is our friend. I'm gonna say this is not our friend. I think it's our friend. Actually, it might not be our friend because it's another wizard. So maybe they just got a bunch of wizard wardens at this place. So we get Volo, itinerant scholar. Oh, I already put it in the sleeve. Excuse me. When Volo enters the battlefield, create Volo's journal, a legendary colorless artifact token with hexproof. And whenever you cast a creature spell, note one of its creature types that hasn't been noted for this artifact. And then for 2 mana, you can tap and draw a card for each creature type noted for target permanent you control, named Volo's Journal. The last creature that came out actually has a spell. It's the Sea Hag. I totally forgot to show you the Sea Hag. And so she's got an instant spell, Aquatic Ingress, costs 2 water mana, or 2 mana plus a water. Up to 2 target creatures each get +1 tough or +1 power until end of turn and can't be blocked. Then exile this card. You may cast the creature later from exile. When Sea Hag enters the battlefield, creatures your opponents control get -4 tough or -4 power, until the end of the turn. So this would add a hag to Volo's journal. We would also add. Is it a merfolk rogue specifically, or is it like a merfolk? Note its creature types, so it's both of them. But this one doesn't have a spell, so this one don't count. Whenever you cast a creature spell. So the hag goes in the notebook. So yeah, Volo got tails. I think Volo is that. Volo is also a warden. But what Volo adds to the Seatower prison, the Seatower of Balduran, it's almost like you can't enter it the same way twice. Which makes this energy more and more and more appealing. Because this is the gnome artificer, is the inventor, is the ingenious one, is the creative. So where the warrior would like brute force. Now, to be fair, Volo doesn't work with brute force. Volo works with spells, and more often than not, you're not brute forcing with the spell unless you are. But it makes it feel like every time you approach this, you have to do it differently. because if you approach it the same way you approached it before, it already knows. It remembers. It has a memory. And that's interesting because there are a lot of things, like I remember taking some kind of microbiome or synthetic biology, intro to synthetic biology, and we would talk about like different bacteria or cells with memory and what like compounds or reactions sort of like form that memory or help the cell form that memory. Volo also gets a background. So we'll see if we get a second background card. It could also be like a T cell, right? Because those are the ones that like whenever you get sick or whenever there's a foreign presence within the body, the T cells question mark, one of the white blood cells, I think. My anatomy physiology is rusty. But it remembers. And so are they B cells? Are B cells even a thing? Hi Bixby. What are T cells?
You have 2 stock quotes capsules.
Girl,
Do you want to use
no.
CNBC or Sprinkle-Bit?
Neither.
You have 2 stock quotes
Okay, I
capsules.
literally just said that I like you more than Siri. You're making this difficult. You're making it difficult for me to continue liking you. Hi, Bixby. What is a T cell?
What should I call you?
It's fine. It's fine. We're gonna go with that working theory right now. You were thinking stem cells? Oh no, not for these. But like stem cells are cells that can become anything. But what do? You draw a card for each creature type noted. There's a memory here. Also, the presence of the hag weakens other creatures. Creatures that you don't control. So not only can she weaken other creatures, she can strengthen your own. She can strengthen 2 of them and then she gets exiled. She's like, okay, that's basically, so she feels like hired. Like that's what she does and then she leaves. What's interesting though is the human warrior is the one that exiles. For every non-permanent land card you exile, you get a soldier. She can exile to make 2 people stronger. We'll see. I'm trying to mute these. We'll see if it comes together. Hello. Thank you. Gorgeous. Oh, wait. I still need Bixby. The next card is another background. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Commander creatures you own get +3 strength and +3 toughness, have flying, death touch, and ward. So our Volo is definitely a warden. I'll show you the card. Oops. Fell on top. It bridged like Vecna and the Sea Hag. Maybe the Sea Hag works for Vecna. Vecna, Volo. Sorry. Commander creatures you own get +3/+3 and have flying, death touch, ward, pay 3 life, and at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice a creature. You embrace power at any cost, and if it consumes you, so be it. So of course that's like a lot of the ones that deal with like sacrifice or whatever are black mana swamp. The swamp. So Volo, the itinerant scholar, is a cultist of the absolute. Oh, I don't. That's his background. Which I mean, he's a wizard, so cultist fits. Flying, death touch, and ward pay 3 life. So you can pay 3 life to I think like block a spell, basically. and you wouldn't necessarily block your own spell. I don't know if I necessarily like that combination though. Because it's like an itinerant scholar, it feels like Vola would have an energy of almost naivete. I was gonna say like not innocence, not ignorance, a naivety where he may not even necessarily know the cost of the power he seeks. So he's much more likely to be consumed by it. Next card, we're bringing in the fire, the veteran motorist. It's a dwarf pilot. So I'm going to put the dwarf pilot on the side of the gnome artificer. Oh, look, duh. The dwarf pilot is not dark though. It's white and red. And then the gnome artificer is white, red, and black. So, our dwarf pilot, when veteran motorist enters the battlefield, scry 2. I think that means like you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, and if you don't like them, you can put them at the bottom in a random order, maybe. Whenever veteran motorists cruise a vehicle, that vehicle gets 1 strength and toughness until the end of the turn. He's set to compete in every race at the fair, and he plans to win them all. He's set to compete in every race at the fair, and he plans to win them all. That's our first non-water creature. And he's a pilot. Interesting. I don't know what I'm doing, but we'll see. Who is this? Thrakus? Or Thrakius? The Butcher. Oh, we got a fire and forest, red and green creature. Legendary creature, Dragon Peasant. Oof. Trample. Whenever Thrakus, the Butcher, attacks, double the power of each dragon you control until the end of turn. We don't have any other dragons yet, so Thrakus is alone. Is Thrakus the one that's in the prison? Hi, Bixby. Flip a coin.
All right. It came up tails.
It's tails again. Are there no friends in this prison? Is the friend not actually in this prison? That would be wild. That's some like Super Mario type ish. Like you go through, you beat Bowser, you do everything, and then Toad's like, "Oh, your princess is in a different castle. Sorry." And you're like, "But I just like within this domain made my way to the castle, got all the way through the castle, faced the boss, and you're telling me my princess is in another castle?" I'm almost on the side of the um the gnome and the dwarf, and not just because they're not criminals. Um but it feels like if we take a second to stop and think, somewhere along the way we might catch a realization. We can also catch realizations in action, but sometimes when we act it might be too late because something's already been done. That's how you end up with the criminal past. Or that's one way you can end up with the criminal past. The sea hag is almost feeling like some kind of siren or mermaid now. Or siren, some kind of siren. Where it's almost like it could call to you in the voice of the one that you're looking for. to lure you to the prison. I don't know. And then we got this dragon peasant. I feel like the dragon peasant would probably be subjugated by her. They're in the same art style. That's why. So he's definitely, if he is a warden, he's a prisoner himself. If there aren't any other dragons here, that would be sad. Only have a handful of cards left. Oh, just got a dragon. Never mind. Oldest trick in the book. Mm-hmm. Ancient Gold Dragon. It requires 2 white mana plus 5 of any color. It has flying. Whenever Ancient Gold Dragon deals combat damage to a player, roll a d20. You create a number of 1/1 blue fairy dragon creature tokens with flying equal to the result. You can get up to 20 blue fairy dragon creature tokens with flying. It has 7 power and 10 toughness. It's the strongest one in both power and toughness on the table right now. It's not Carlesson. Is it Carlesson? Russ isn't here. I think Carlesson is. No. Maybe. There's some old dragon. So here's the dragon to double the power of Thrakus the Butcher. No, wait. When Thrakus the Butcher attacks, it doubles the power of other dragons. Of each dragon you control until the end of the turn. So that goes from a 7 to a 14. So I still don't like this. It feels like this is what it almost reads like. The head, this might be the person that created the prison or the person who runs it, like the HBIW, the HWIC, the head warden in charge, is this mage lady. It feels like Thrakus has a connection to this ancient gold dragon that Thrakus might not fully understand. But it's almost like through Volo and all of Volo's knowledge, she understands this connection with Thrakus that Thrakus doesn't understand. This is coming to a head, by the way. The next card is Bonecaller Cleric. We get our first dark creature. Sacrifice Bonecaller Cleric. Return target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery. I like Bonecaller Cleric here because it feels like Bonecaller Cleric has the power to call the ancient gold dragon back to the battlefield to highlight, illuminate something to Thrakus. This is like Flusa energy. Bonecaller Cleric is Flusa energy because it's like when Thrakus has an encounter with the ancient gold dragon, it calls into or it makes Thrakus question everything that this wizard told him about it, the ancient gold dragon. And then it feels like it gives Thrakus the chance or ability to realize that whatever power it has in its kinship connection to dragons lies within itself. It doesn't lie in this mage, or it's not Volo's knowledge that gave him some kind of power. Like he already had the power by birthright, essentially. But the conditions of his birth weren't that which would make him aware of that because he's a dragon peasant. Right. So definitely not the patriarch that our human warrior smuggled for, and that's why he's a criminal. The bell's unearthly chime slips into the ears of the dead, waking them rudely from their eternal slumber. Okay. Oh, I wish I could grab that book. Where is it actually? I have a book. Oh, it's right there. Give me 1 second. I'm going to turn off my virtual camera and grab this book. Uno momento. You can still hear me though. You just can't see me right now. Oh, that's not the book I was looking for. You are not the book I was looking for. Am I going to take you anyway? I guess so. I mean, I have you now. Now I've got you in my space. I won't let go of you. Oh. Where is this? Oh, I literally didn't even have to get up to get the book. It's fine. We're still going to get one of these. I'm hungry. I am starving, actually. Very hungry. I'm still going to get this book. I got this book in middle school, I think. I rented it from the library and I forgot to return it. And I still have it. It's called Sabriel. And Sabriel has bells. Yep, of course. This is the book by Garth Nix. Nix of the Night, Goddess of the Night, in Greco-Roman mythology. And then we have the Bone Caller Cleric. Coincidence? Maybe not. Okay. I'm going to read this line. Pilots! Pilots! You see that? Pilots! Pilots! Come through coincidence, synchronicity. This don't mean nothing, but at least it's still sync, right? Just remember, Horse said, interrupting him, that whatever is out there may be a flying creature, not a flying machine. And its pilots may be half rotted things that should be properly dead, or free magic beings that have never really lived at all, not fellow aviators, knights of the sky, or anything like that. Yorbert nodded unmilitarily, saluted, and turned on his heel. And don't forget your sword next time you're on duty, officer, Horse called after him. Hasn't anyone told you your revolver might not work? Interesting. I saw dead and I was like, see, Bone Caller Cleric. It may be a flying creature, not a flying machine. And its pilots may be half rotted things. It's interesting because here's our pilot, but the gnome artificer sacrifice a non-creature artifact to create 2 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens. This feels like the thing. It's interesting because we have Volo, right? And it's almost like once Volo sees something, it knows that thing. Oh, see, look at that. This is the dark that makes up our gnome artificer. Now we have all the elements. The Bone Caller Cleric is the dark that was missing here. So this is their plan. Because it's almost like they're using Volo's knowledge against him. It's like they create the artifact creature, or maybe they successfully infiltrated with the artifact creature one time. But they know Volo. These are the thinkers. These are the planners. You could say the schemers. This is the brain. The brawn is on the other side. And so it's like maybe they successfully navigate or infiltrate the tower with the artifact flying creatures. Then you have the pilot here. But then they come across the Bone Caller Cleric, who resurrects this ancient gold dragon to take out at least one of their wardens. This one. Well, that's the plan. I don't know if our mage here got some mind control magic and it might not work. I don't know. That's on Thrakus. But It's like from a certain distance, maybe Volo would think like, oh, it's another one of those artifact creatures that they piloted in here last time. When in fact it's not. But it's because Volo thinks that it is that they're actually at a bigger disadvantage. This is like twofold returns on that. I also have this book of inspiration. I am not ashamed of the gospel because it's a Thursday. Today is a Thursday. Oh my gosh, I literally opened up and I read this. It's a Thursday on a Thursday. It sinks. I don't know what it means. I am not ashamed of the gospel because it is the power of God for the salvation of everyone who believes. For in the gospel a righteousness from God is revealed, a righteousness that is by faith from first to last, just as it is written, the righteous will live by faith. Romans 1:16-17. It is Thursday the 16th. Work. I will praise you, O Lord, with all my heart. I will tell of all your wonders. Now, the warrior part was interesting when he was like, don't forget your sword because your revolver might not always cut it. The sword brings us back to our human warrior. So maybe it's like it's getting it back to the bronze side. Because all brain and no brawn doesn't get us much further than all brawn and no brain. I got 3 cards left. We got another legendary creature. Is this the 3rd one? It's the 5th one. And it's a dark one. So maybe Bonecaller Cleric is like, you think you're getting your dragon? Well, this one is a snake. It's a snake cleric. We got the ancient gold dragon. Maybe Bonecaller Cleric got mixed up. You know, snakes and dragons. A snake is just the dragon that lost its legs and its wings. So if you sacrifice another creature or artifact, for each opponent you mill a card, then return that card from your graveyard to your hand, unless that player pays 3 life. To mill a card, put the top card of your library into your graveyard, and it can also have a background. Maybe we'll get a 3rd background for our 3rd legendary creature that has a background because 2 of them don't. They come with backgrounds, apparently. It's interesting that you can sacrifice an artifact, though, because our gnome can create artifacts by sacrificing. Wait. If you sacrifice an artifact, it creates 2 creatures. Sorry. 2 artifact creatures. Is an artifact creature a creature or an artifact? It says or, so I guess it doesn't matter. You can still sacrifice it. And it's a token. Do tokens count? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know that much about MTG, Magic the Gathering. This is on the floor. This is another thing that costs 3 life, though. Because, what was it? You could pay 3 life, ward it by costing 3 life. Where did that card go? Where did that card go? Was it the Sea Hag? No, it's not the Sea Hag. It gave creatures flying, death touch. Oh, that's the cultist background. Pay 3 life to ward with this cultist background. And then we have Sivris, the Nightmare Speaker. So in the story that's playing out on the table right now, it would seem that Volo infiltrated some kind of cult and got some cultist background for the knowledge. Didn't respect the rituals, the traditions, or the actual cult. It just wanted knowledge to get some kind of power. And it got the power, and now it's working at this Seatower prison, whatever. It feels like Severus is gonna take stand with the Bone Color Cleric to punish Volo for basically just stealing the whatever Volo stole from the cult. You can send a card to the graveyard and immediately play it, unless the character pays 3 life. So it's almost like either way, it'd have to pay 3 life. So I almost wonder if Severus has something against Volo because of the whole cult thing, and if the Bone Collar Cleric has something against this wizard because of some unknown thing, and Thrakus is just like the Bone Collar Cleric's way of getting back at the wizard, because then she could potentially lose her one of her wardens. This is interesting. It's interesting because it's like this Seatower prison with the Sea Hag siren is set up to, it's like your princess is in another castle. We think a friend is there and we do anything for our friend. It's a trap. It's interesting though that the dark is coming out with counters to these traps. It's also interesting that all of our like invading or not invading, what do you call it? All of our creatures that are like breaking in are aspected light or white. Oh, these are multi-aspected, but the warrior's just straight up like white aspected. But it needs these black ones to be successful. So then it's like the person in charge of the Seatower is relying on the disharmony and the discord between the dark and the light. But as soon as they start working together, like the Seatower will fall. I got 2 cards left. We get a sorcery. You can draw 3 cards if you lose 3 life. Ambition's cost. Of course, it can be yours. Anything is possible for the right price. Speaking of which, ... This actually feels like her. This feels like her energy. Oh my gosh. You see the web? You see that thing that looks like a web coming out of her staff? This is her energy. She offers things at the cost of life, but she doesn't offer anything that they don't already have. They just don't know that they already have it. So, when it comes to reconciling or balancing the books, it's like if she didn't actually give the thing that they already had, then do they still have to pay in life? And on Cosmic Court and Cosmic Court, it's like, no, it's void if she didn't give them anything that they didn't have, because that was her thing. But if there was anything that they did while under that assumption or while under that impression, then they may be charged for that. Maybe, maybe not. We got 1 card left. What's the last one? Let's get it over with. We got another dragon. Let's go. Ooh, this one is pure forest. It's Skanos Dragonheart. It's a legendary creature. It's a dragon ranger. Whenever Skanos or Skanos Dragonheart attacks, it gets plus X until the end of the turn, where X is the greatest power among other dragons you control and dragon cards in your graveyard. Our most powerful creature on the table is a dragon, and it has 7 attack. Now, I don't know. It probably works this way, where if Thrakkus attacks first, it will double the power of the ancient gold dragon, making it 14. And then if, like, when that happens, it would get a plus 14 to both its power and its defense or endurance until the end of the turn. We have 2 creatures without a background. And it's Siverus the Nightmare Speaker and Skanos the Dragonheart. I'm out of cards. They don't have a background. This is interesting. What this feels like, it feels like there's some kind of power structure built on top of a truth that holds power. But the structure that's built on top of that power is built on lies. Or it uses and incorporates lies in order to spread its influence. Dragons are truth. So then we have these creatures of light. We have the strength and the might, the brawn of the light, with the cunning, creativity of the light, that are coming in to rescue / save someone. Someone could be us, because it's a Seatower prison. It's the element of water. What's interesting is, but that was the thing here. Harbor masters tend to forget that security shouldn't stop at the surface. This, since it's light and we're talking about water, this is all surface energy. That's why we need these dark energies to come in, because they come in from the depths, from the floor. So not only, and it feels like that's something that the guards of the Seatower prison, the head magician lady, wouldn't think to like include, or wouldn't think that we would be aware of. Again, like this whole thing, her whole thing, it relies on the dark and the light not cooperating, number one, and it relies on the ignorance of people, the ignorance of the very ones. Well, I don't know if Volo is ignorant or if Volo is just like, I don't think Volo is ignorant. Volo just doesn't care. It's one of those like, but I want to know, I want to see. That's literally what the card said, right? That's his background. You embrace power or knowledge at any cost, and if it consumes you, so be it. So he's not necessarily ignorant. He's just there because Volo is Volo. This one, the dragon peasant, was ignorant. Very powerful, but not knowledgeable about the source of his power and his connection to that source. And she took advantage of that ignorance to make him think that he needs her. But the bone caller from the depths reawakens the source of his power to give him the opportunity to face it and to connect with it, to realize that he isn't bound to her. And then literally the last card, out of nowhere comes this other Skanos's cousin that's like, hey, like, we've been looking for you. Like, and then it becomes this whole thing of like, um, Thrakus was like some, like, let's say that Thrakus was some kind of dragon nobility that was like kidnapped. His home was attacked. He was kidnapped when he was an infant, raised, not even knowing, very well could have been kidnapped, his family destroyed by this one. Raised not knowing who he is, his connection, like his power, not knowing his status, like his birthright, essentially. And then because he doesn't know, he's easy to manipulate. And again, that's this sort of like web, what is it? Ambition's cost. Of course, it can be yours. Anything is possible for the right price. So that's why he has to like, that's why he's disconnected from the knowledge of his worth, essentially. That had to happen in order for her to have anything that she can give him, because there's nothing that she can give him. And then when all of this is going down, it may be some distant relative. Because again, a snake is just a dragon that's lost its wings and its legs. Or it's a baby dragon before it develops wings and legs. Either way you look at it. This distant relative that just so happened to have history with another warden at her prison. It's like, oh, snap. And maybe he's the one that sort of calls this one in or something. I had the line, but then I lost it. Or maybe it's just like the reawakening of this connection by the bone caller in Thrakus sends out a reverberation on the dragon web. And then Skynos was like, oh, snap, like somebody else on the web is like active. I felt something somewhere in the world that soul family. I felt one of my soul family members start their awakening journey or whatever. And that draws Skanos to Thrakus. Skanos knows the truth of Thrakus. Skanos would be the one to tell Thrakus, like, your nobility. And like, we've been looking for you. And this whole time, Thrakus thought that like it had like he had no family, no connection, isolated, so alone, separate, not loved, not cared for. Again, all by the design of this one. But it's like it's not until Thrakus goes through all of this where that connection is reawakened. And then the person comes to tell Thrakus, oh, like, oh yeah, like not only do you have family, not only do you not have anything, you have an overabundance of everything. You have an entire kingdom of people who never stop looking for you, who didn't think that you'd be in some Seatower prison because you're not a criminal. I don't know what happens to her. Maybe she's just playing her part in the whole grand cosmic play, in the cosmic scheme of things. Somebody got to be the bad guy. And she decided that she would be the bad guy. Maybe not. But that's this. Interesting. For a hot minute, I can kind of sort of feel it coming together. These always come together. Patrick is Patrick, so it's going to come together probably. All of this is like, I don't want to say obviously some kind of metaphor or allegory or story based on a moral, whatever. But there are a few things that a manipulator can rely on to manipulate us. It's us not knowing our worth, value. It's us not being in a space of internal sort of peace and harmony to sort of like come to the realization and understanding of like, hey, like this is treatment that I should not be enduring. It makes no sense. But it's like since the foundation is built on truth, And since it does a very good job of acting like it's giving something that we already have, we believe it. Because the foundation is built on a truth. It might be a lie. It's like one of those based on a true stories, but it's like extremely loosely based on a truth. Like the only thing true about the story is that there was some random dude in the grocery store that you passed one day named Jim. The rest of the story is made up. Jim is real though. So since Jim is real, we can say with 100% legal credibility that this is based on a true story because of Jim. Completely unrelated, but conveniently placed and located Jim. It's like, okay. Anyway, so I'm not gonna say expect for some truths to be coming out, or I mean, it was a full moon in Sagittarius. My North Node is in Sagittarius, so. But anyway, the galactic center is in Sagittarius. There you go. I don't know, but I think it's definitely time for us to connect to source and to know who we are, and to not be so easily swayed, misguided, or bought by anything that would try to sell or give us something that we already, because of who we are by birth, have access to. It's like it's your right as a human to have access. Ooh, the 4 cups and the star. With the Hermit. And the 5 of Pentacles. Oof. Anyway, that was a thing. I will be putting those cards. I'm actually I think I'm going to build a commander deck around these dragons, because I already had one pack that featured dragons, and it was like whenever you play a dragon spell, then you make a copy of it or something. I like this one that there's the one that doubles the attack of any dragon, and then there's the one that takes on in strength and endurance the power of the strongest dragon on the field or in the graveyard. No, in the graveyard you can't double it because it ain't gonna attack or whatever. I'm pretty sure it only affects the ones on the field, but then the mage was just like, well, let's get that dragon off the field. It's like, okay, but Skanos is going to tell us that we can connect through the graveyard. They don't have to be physically here. So shout out to that ancestral connection that is growing to the point where I know next to nothing about the ancestors or the ancestral realms and connecting to them, but their energies definitely didn't come through. King of Cups flipped over with the devil at the bottom of the deck. Again, and the 10 of Wands behind the devil. These almost look like they could be the same person. But one is at peace. Again, like this feels like when we have that, when we are, that was a series of readings for a hot minute too. It's like who we are in the absence of internal conflict and internal turmoil and internal chaos. When we can come all together and accept ourselves as we are wholly. WHOLLY and HOLY. Let's see. Hi, Bixby. Define WHOLLY.
Okay, here's the definition of lie. Forming adjectives, having the qualities of.
Bixby, you are my favorite. Literally, the only thing you're good at is rolling dice and flipping coins. I'm sorry, Bixby. I'm so mean.
I didn't understand that.
Hi, Siri. Define WHOLLY.
Wholly means entirely, fully.
Thank you. Thank you. Siri understood the assignment. I love Bixby for the way it rolls them dice and flips those coins. And that's enough. I still have Siri. I can use Siri for everything else. I'm not going to ask Bixby to do anything that Bixby can't do, because it just makes both of us frustrated, but mostly me. But again, in the presence of and look at the sales, Obviously, it's the Pride Tarot, so there's going to be rainbows. We have stars in the beard. This is like through the place of peace and internal harmony of the King of Cups, it gets access to all of that natural, splendiferous synchronicity, magic, everything. Devil energy can't sell, can't steal, can't bind anything when he is whole and at peace with himself. When his mind is still, the surface is still, and the boat can go wherever it needs. And again, with the Ten of Wands behind this, Ten of Wands spoke of a difficult experience that we have no context of. And it's just like, why do I suffer so? Why was I given this life? Why was I given this experience? It's one, and it's like it has masculine and feminine qualities, old and young. It struggles to accept its own internal duality. And again, that's what devil energy relies on. But again, there's like throughout the world, it seems there's such an emphasis on like self-care, self-love, like pouring into self-wellness, and like, health too. Um, where it's like it's shifting us sort of in a space, in a way, in a direction where we're less easy to I want to say commodify, where we're less easy to commodify. Can people become commodities to some industries and business? Probably, yeah. It's like, oh, they feel like this, they'll buy, and we get that money, money, money. The Eight of Wands again. Okay. So all of that was part one. I'm gonna timestamp this. I'm gonna do the second reading real quick, hopefully. And then I am probably gonna go to bed because it's late, and if I eat before I go to sleep, I'll wake up starving, and I'm not trying to do that today. So, then I might eat something light. I almost bought some oranges and apples and fruits and stuff at the grocery store, but I got some bad tangerines once, and I'm traumatized. It literally melted in my hand. It was disgusting. I'm still scared. Okay. Timestamps are approximations. Remember that. I'm gonna get my phone so I can pull up the spread again. Shout out to, was it Witch of the Moon? I think it's on the other phone. You are fully charged. It is really warm. It is Mystic Witch of the Moon. So it's a 5-card spread. We're gonna shuffle you up. We're gonna get something great. We're gonna try to help the collective, whoever needs this message as they come across this video, please. And ooh, the Magician is here. Use every element at your disposal. You're multifaceted for a reason. Don't leave anything. It's like, don't leave anything unused. Don't leave any part of yourself unengaged in the process, in your process. And maybe I'm sure there's going to be a point, or there's going to be an aspect or a section of the journey of the process where you are rediscovering maybe certain parts. So if you go a little heavy in one, that's fine. Or a little heavy in the other, that's fine. As you get back into the flow and as you discover it, and then you introduce it to the fold with all the other parts of you, right? Whatever you need to be in the moment, mutable is cool. All right, see ya, Holly. You too. Okay. I'm gonna give you a cut here. There, I guess. And I'm gonna pull these. Okay, cute work. We're gonna put you there. Oh no, we'll keep you up here. It fell on top of Volo, so. Ooh, okay. Okay. And then I'll do this, and then I'll do this. Interesting. Bottom of the deck is, oh my gosh, guess what the bottom of the deck is? I'll give you like 2 guesses. If you said the Tower, as we were talking about the Seatower, the Seatower of Balduran, the Seatower of Balduran. If you said the tower at the bottom of the deck, you would have been right. Oh my gosh, look at that. Synchronicity, crazy. Synchronicity be wild, y'all. Also, the Emperor and the Empress are literally right next to each other. Love that the Emperor is monochromatic. Love that the Empress is in full color. Love that we're talking about the energy of, like, the light and the dark, the masculine and the feminine, and the 10 of Wands, where they meet. Love that. So, number 1 is our current emotions and state, and what came out is the 3 of Wands. The 3 of Wands is a card of awaiting. What's interesting about this 3 of Wands, though, is it's in a nest. And it doesn't have wings. The person is in a nest, doesn't have wings, so it waits. It doesn't think it can fly. But it's very much in the energy of anticipation. It's very much in the energy of waiting. It's in the energy of, like, manifesting. I think it can fly, but it doesn't have wings, so it doesn't think it can fly. The second card is what was illuminated during the last full moon, and it is the Emperor. The Emperor was illuminated. So maybe what was illuminated was the time for waiting, the time for inaction, the time for passivity is nearing an end in some ways. Like, there needs to be an active component. This is the Emperor is what was illuminated. I also love that in this deck in particular, the Emperor is female presenting. So it's not a masculine overdoing that needs to be done. It's almost like if in the point of impregnation, it's giving the seed to the seed. It's fertilizing the egg. It's a masculine action that fertilizes the egg, but it's an action that is done in, like, so much, can be done in so much love and so much, like, it's tender, it's nurturing, it's caring, it's fertilizing, right? The egg. And it feels like it's off color. Like when white diamond turned pink, right? Because, like, it's those hints of red popping out. It's like it feels like this is what we've sort of noticed, but it's like it's just the tip of the iceberg of what an active feminine energy can do. Or it's like it's the tip of the iceberg of what was deemed strictly feminine but is masculine can do, and what was deemed strictly masculine but is feminine can do. It's those spaces where they meet. Now, the thing that helps us get there, I think, is position 3. The act of self care for this week is the Empress. Look at all these winged creatures. Most of the creatures on here got wings. There's a few that don't. It's interesting because it feels like it's like, but that's the thing. It's like it's to fly, but since everything that we observe flying has wings. So in our brains, it's very logical to go, like, to fly, you must have wings. Are there things that fly that don't have wings? Propeller seeds. It's like you just need to be aerodynamic. or less dense. You need to be less dense. Or get some kind of anti-gravity technology. Either way, we do have the inventor on the table, right? But it's interesting because it feels like, oh, on one of her hands is the dragonfly. Is she getting to the roots of the Yggdrasil? It feels like this is a space of creative flow. Like as she creates or births, it feels like it connects her more and more and more to, we'll say the divine, the realms of inspiration. And again, it's interesting to see these two together. It almost feels like the more she, it's like the more in Empress energy, the more we understand about masculine energy. Not masculine, Emperor energy. Somehow. That has my journey buddy all over it. That was her thing. She reached a point in her journey. Her phase, the phase of her journey right now is very much this energy. And it's not for me to discuss at liberty, even though I'm pretty sure she wouldn't mind. But it's fine. So, what we're being called to release is the Queen of Cups. What we're being called to release is the Queen of Cups. The step that we can take to help us release the Queen of Cups. If you guess the Eight of Cups, you're right. When the tarot's like, just do it, just walk away, just stop, just quit. You want some advice on how to quit doing something? Quit doing it. Eight of Cups, walk away. I love too that we get. See, I don't want to misgender the illustration on this card, but I feel like it's the point. We have our feminine emperor and our masculine queen. We'll say assigned masculine queen. It's interesting though, because the Queen of Cups is like the feminine of the feminine of the feminine. But maybe we've been going about it in a masculine way. So there's something in that energy that we need to release back to the masculine. Because it's like masculine energy can be spiritual, masculine energy can be connected, masculine energy can be a lot more than we sort of give it credit for. It doesn't help that masculine presenting people, structures, and systems give us a certain idea of what masculinity is. But again, it feels like there's a piece of the masculine in the feminine and the piece of the feminine in the masculine. And it's like it doesn't have to fully be released back to the respective. We just need to like acknowledge and recognize it as what it is. Because to continue to like misgender that energy is to continue to see the other not all the way correctly. And it feels like what it helps us do is it helps us accomplish some things that may have been like sort of tainted in a way because of how we've seen it expressed in the world and because of what it's always meant. but that's not all it has to mean. Tower at the bottom is saying like it's time to really like shake some stuff up. I found a note because I transferred my data, my information from one phone to the other. And I was going and deleting notes that I'm not gonna need. Some of them from like 2015, 14, 13. I'm like, I'm not gonna need these. But I did see one, and it said it's like there's a tower moment, and the tower is cracking to the foundation to reveal a light. There's something hidden beneath the foundation that the tower was built on, some kind of truth, some kind of truth connected to some kind of power. And that goes back to the Ten of Wands, the Wheel of Fortune, and the World card that came out with the Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck before I started all this. The card that came out face down on top of Volo is the Eight of Swords. I love that it came out on top of Volo. This is the trap of I've seen it before. It's the trap of, oh, I already know this. With this Eight of Swords, it's almost like when knowledge or wisdom becomes a trap in itself. And not in that old, well, probably in that old way. It's what is it like to, no, not to live is to suffer. I would like to know is to suffer. It's, what is it? It's some saying that's like, it's basically like the only people that are happy are like idiots. Because if you know anything about anything, then you're miserable. It's like, okay, well, choose misery, sure, whatever. Glad to be done. Never been happier to be more stupid in my life. But maybe it's more like it doesn't have to be. Eight of Swords, Eight of Cups. Again, maybe it's like it's the way that we intellectualize things that continues to get us to see things, or it's the way that we intellectualize things that continues to make certain truths so elusive. But it feels like when we see these two people in the same room, we get it. When we see the Emperor and the Empress, a healthy dynamic between an Emperor and an Empress in the same room, to be in the presence of that itself conveys some kind of information. It's like it's hard to misinterpret. It's only because we don't have a lot of examples of healthy Emperor energy interacting with healthy feminine energy that it makes it so easy for us to um, like not know what it is, plain and simple. And because of that, it makes it easy for us to think of a partial truth or a non-truth of that dynamic of those energies as the truth. Again, with the Eight of Swords, which is why we're being asked to step away from the Queen of Cups energy a little bit. So, you know what I love about this Queen of Cups, though? Going back to the black aspected that came to help the white aspected, we have this octopus, I'm going to call it a kraken, offering up these cups. So, from the depths, it's being offered at the surface where we can experience it. That is the beauty of a Scorpio South Node. Apparently. Apparently, Scorpio South Node is like, I think it's the South Node difficult. I feel like the difficulty of the Scorpio South Node comes in us accepting some of the things that might be coming to the surface, but it feels like the information is just like being offered. Now, if it like with the North Node being in Taurus, it's like if it feels flipped. But with the North Node being in Taurus, it's like if it disturbs our comfortability, if it disturbs our peace, then we ignore it. We pretend like it's not there. We go full bull stubborn. Like, I don't see it. We do this. We do this. Instead of like sort of seeing it and taking it for what it is, because it's being offered. But I think the thing about the North Node is being in Taurus, it's like when we face the things that South Node Scorpio are bringing up, it leads us to greater comfort, greater stability, greater peace, and greater abundance. And as we do that, as we accept that, as we come to that energy, it is a beacon to further energies, right? That's the once Thrakis has that connection and that aha realization moment. Once Thrakis is connected to that ancient gold dragon again, Skanos feels it. And then there's a truth that can go to the one that has felt. So literally the Ten of Wands, literally the first card I read. I could have just stopped there. I could have stopped at those first 4 cards. The Nine of Wands at the bottom of the deck is like, will we face the storm head on? Maybe it's a brainstorm too. Oh, I saw a TikTok. I shared it with my mom, or maybe it was on Facebook. It's like the word that you read is the word that you hear. And one of the words was green needle, and the other word was brainstorm. Oh, come through Pisces cards. One final gift from the age of Pisces as it leaves and as it exits. A moment of clarity, if you will. The Hanged Man and the Moon. Both of these fell out. It's interesting, though, that this apple is here. I'm going to take the apple as the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. But it's like it's a knowledge that we've matured to be able to handle now. And so some of what was previously unintelligible, we're now going to be able to begin to understand as we reconcile that turmoil, conflict, polarity, duality within ourselves. There are greater truths that we'll be in a space to begin to understand, basically, is this. It took us some time to get to this point, though. And that's perfectly fine. Bottom of the deck is the Four of Swords, and I love this energy. I'm going to read the Four of Swords from the book. Again, this is the Pride Tarot. I want to use it more for the month of June because it's Pride Month. Obviously. Not obviously. I hate when I say obviously now sometimes. Woo! I feel like I don't use it in my personal life. Very much. Ooh. Oh, this was a whole thing. Oh, snap. Emperor, Empress. The Emperor and the Empress. The card at the bottom of the deck is the Four of Swords. Under the Four of Swords is Strength for 8. I love Strength. Strength is so watery in this deck. I love it. This is one of my favorite Strength cards. Under Strength is Temperance. And there was a whole thing a minute ago. It was an inspired read, carpet style, because Chad Tarot did carpet reads back in the day. And it was a whole thing about tempered strength. And I love that tempered strength is here again. Because again, that feels like the Emperor and the Empress. It's doing as much as is necessary. And as much as is necessary. It's a case by case by case basis. And so that's again, it's like why we have to be in this dynamic sort of like give and receive um energy. We have to be in a dynamic feminine and masculine because it might be times where we sort of masculine a little bit more. Some situations we may feminine a little bit more. Some situations we may run the cycle, the gamut, where we sort of do both at the same time at different degrees within the space of like minutes or whatever. It's a tempered strength. Love it. Under the tempered strength is the Ten of Cups with the Queen of Swords. Boom. And the Nine of Pentacles. And the Emperor is behind the Nine of Pentacles. Okay, cute work. This Nine of Pentacles was the shortcut. The Nine of Pentacles was the shortcut in that one video. But the Ten of Cups to the Queen of Swords, it brings color to the Queen of Swords. The Queen of Swords, it's been an energy that could have been using some help. Just as everything is sort of like shifting. But with this Ten of Cups in particular, for this Queen of Swords, it's twofold. Part of it is like there's probably some truth within herself that she needs to face to bring some color to her world. I think another part of it is it's like it's easing into that truth. The world doesn't always make it easy, but it's easing into that truth where she can just like live it and be happy. It's not one she no longer has to like defend or whatever, or she doesn't feel like she has to defend it. And because she has to defend it, it brings a certain abrasiveness to an otherwise non-abrasive, smooth, plush experience or sector of the experience. Anyway, Four of Swords. Keywords: time to rest, take a break, rest your mind, clear your head, and recharge. The Four of Swords is a card of rest and recuperation. It especially addresses the need to take time to review what happened after experiencing mental strife or verbal abuse. Sleep and rest are vital for both physical health and mental well being. I chose, and this is Mumi Swan, is the one who the Pride Tarot is a collaboration deck, so every card is illustrated by somebody else. I think there is a few cards, or a few people who illustrate like two. Um, I chose to set this card in a natural environment with the non judgmental companionship of a dog because these are things I seek out when I feel burnt out and emotionally exhausted. We live in a culture that values excessive work, lofty achievements, and ableist rhetoric, and sometimes it is necessary to reconnect with your body and your needs away from the opinions of others. The Queen of Swords is she is, but she isn't too concerned with the opinions of others. But the opinions of others that she's overly concerned with are mostly those of the past. That's how she became, why she became. That's her origin story. But again, the thing with Thrakus is like once Thrakus is connected to the ancient gold dragon, Thrakus is now it's not a foolproof plan because Thrakus could choose to continue listening to the one that basically conditioned him. Or Thrakus can take in the truth of that experience of that moment and allow that experience to continue to unfold to the point where he comes into his fated meeting, potentially fated if he makes the choice, meeting with this guy and Skanos, and Skanos tells Thrakus the truth. But there's going to be some point in time, there's going to be a period where Thrakus doesn't know anything. And Thrakus has to be comfortable with just because I don't know the full truth yet doesn't mean I have to continue to hang on to the words of the one that I now know was manipulating me. Doesn't mean that has to happen. Ooh, but I forgot about these two. Again, we're in the space, we're in a position where we can rationalize. Oh, I want to say rationalize, but that's not. We can work to resolve difficult truths. There's a maturity that's happened. So I'm always glad when these kind of sort of work out or come together, because I'm always like, oh, I'm gonna do it, and then when I sit down to do it, I'm like, girl, these are random. So I hope you're ready. I hope you're prepared. But more often than not, I feel like I get where I was supposed to go. So if you watch this, I hope you find some kind of resonance in it. More than I hope you find some resonance, I hope you the discernment to know what is for you and what is not for you. And I hope that you don't take anything that's not for you, because I'm not in the business of, I don't know. I just hope you don't do it for the sake of your ease of life and the journey. I will catch y'all the next time. I still haven't started those series. As I said, I would come back. I had a plan, but work ain't been cooperating. I was like, I'm gonna go in early. I'm gonna leave early. I'll be home by this time. Yesterday, I had family over, so that's why I didn't do anything. But it was nice. It was really nice to reconnect with them. There's such a momentum of moving forward, and such a momentum of like, I can no longer allow this to keep me from living my life, or that to keep me from pursuing the thing that I want. It feels like there's a lot of reaching, but it feels like it's like an amoeba with the pseudopod. It stretches out the pseudopod, and then the rest of the amoeba catches up. Feels like there's a lot of that, and I love it. Um, yeah. So I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. And I hope that when you get an opportunity to face the truth of who you are, and that truth of who you are conflicts with the truth of who you thought you were, um, I don't want to just say like I hope you like you I hope you get the truth, whatever truth you need, whatever truth you're looking for. I hope that you get it, number one, and I hope you can handle it, number two, because it ain't always easy.